I feel like I'm doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And he's off on his own because I'm not going out there in that.
I can't help but think this is dumb. Mind you, I mean, in the van, what is really a few spits of rain feels like some kind of deluge, or sounds like. Out here, it's little more than drizzle, although on my hood, it sounds like I'm still in the van. As you can see, it's not exactly the perfect weather. Well, I don't know, perfect for what? There's light, there's low cloud, and I like the way we have a kind of regression that we're getting in the trees and the hills. I've no idea whether I'm going to get a shot. Straight ahead of us, we have a large body of water, and it's that I'm trying to find a composition with the regression of the weather, so to speak, going backwards, probably in this direction where we've got a longer distance and it's providing some level of interest. Now, one of the things that I always tell people is look behind you, and it's damn awkward when you've got a hood up because you can't just turn your head because all I can see is hood. So kind of turn with me, well, to a degree at least, and see behind to see what I might be missing. And what am I missing? Bugger all. Now, I had an inkling, and it looks like I'm wrong, that you could walk all the way around the tarn. Doesn't look like you can because there's fencing over there. But that really doesn't matter here. What have we got down here at the water's edge? I don't want to get too close because it's likely to be very slippy. We've got the house on the hill over there. We've got the tiny little boathouse down there, which is very nice. I'd like to get that in. We've got a few rocks in the water. We've got the hills over there because there's such a vast amount of water that if we get the angle of any composition wrong, you have a vast amount of water in the shot. Well, it's just dead space, isn't it? So getting low to reduce that amount of dead space is the kind of order of the day, so to speak, here. But how am I going to find an acceptable foreground and get low and not get covered in muck? So I think it's fair to say at this point, if you haven't already worked... Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I'm sure there is a shot there. Just the trees and the outline of the water, the lake, the tarn. I like that. I think I'm going to try and work something with that. Yes, what I was saying, if you haven't already worked out already, I'm certainly not a foul weather photographer. I'm certainly more of a fair weather photographer. That's not to say I don't like going out in the rain. I don't. But it's much the same as me being a boater. I'm very much more a fair weather boater rather than a foul weather boater. But in the boating community, we always say that it's your clothes that are wrong, not the weather. I don't like that phrase. That phrase doesn't work for me. I suffer with one of these problems where I can struggle to regulate my temperature, my body temperature. So it can be absolutely freezing cold outside of the jacket and I'm nice and toasty inside. And if I'm walking, often I'm fine. When I stop, and I can just about feel it now, I start heating up and I can't regulate that and I get very, very hot very, very quickly. And it does make situations like this quite unpleasant. So, yeah, there we go. I'm going to try and set something up to take this shot because I like that. Now we've got a couple of telegraph poles or something on the hill, and against the flat sky, they stand out a mile. So I'll tell you something for nothing right now. If this shot comes off, they're cloned out. Now, luckily, I have a reasonable vantage point for two shots here. The boathouse over there, and it looks quite clear at this point. I can't go beyond this wall, so yeah, I can go a little further, but not that far. And I've got the shot that I was eyeing up as I walked over. I actually got 3 shots from this position. I'm going to spare you the taking of them because the audio quality, you've probably already noticed, is a little rough because the battery in my audio recorder had given up and I hadn't noticed. I chose to produce this in a very retro, antique-y type style because it's a very low contrast image and it does work nicely. This is shot from exactly the same place, just a different view, very muted colours on it, and I do like this. And then there's this panorama. Again, mono, it does not work in colour, but in mono, it's rather nice. And those straps, oh, they're lovely and damp. Oh joy, deep joy, and I'm getting stuck in it. Ah, what fun. Right, what's interesting here for me is how these trees are dropping their leaves. Now, we're towards the end of September, and in most cases we haven't seen autumn really pick up yet. And I think this is the biggest leaf fall that I've seen. And it's quite interesting, not particularly for the leaves, but they're providing some patination on the ground. And I don't have a focal point, I don't have a subject here, which is possibly my problem. But I just love the way this wall is leading up the line with the tree, the leaves down below, and the trees spreading over, providing a bit of a canopy. Or at least they would if they hadn't dropped so many leaves. Is there a subject if we kind of look around here? Maybe if we go the other way, then maybe there is something. So these last 3 trees seem to have more leaves on them. There's less leaf fall here. Like the sound of the water hitting them. Quite like that. Ah, now there may be something. I like the way the water just kind of comes in down there. If we look a little, can't go too low because we start obliterating this, word's wrong, peninsula of water, the bit closest to us. So if we drop down too low we can't get it. But there's a rather nice looking kind of clump of sedge down there which interrupts the line of the water, and I don't know whether I like it or I don't. I think it's probably wrong to major on it because I think it's the interruption that will be the issue to it. So I don't often actually talk about composition, I know I don't. It's because often I just put the camera down and take a shot and don't think about it. I don't overthink it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If we get really low, what happens? Ow. Actually, if we get really low, it's not horrendous, and we do begin to lose the significance of that sedge as well, I think. Oh, I do get myself into these stupid predicaments, don't I? Can I get it with 40mm? I don't think I can. Oh yes, I can. Let's get low. And I think probably come over here somewhere. Now, if I was really working this scene, and indeed the last one, I'd put a polarizer on. In these conditions, what's the point? I don't have an umbrella, I can't keep it dry. But I kind of like this little shot. I've got a little bit of balance. I mean, it's slightly overbalanced on one side. So I've got an aperture of f10 and a shutter speed of 30th of a second. I've got some movement in the trees, and I'm quite happy to capture that little bit of movement. 20th of a second. Bit of balance with the 2 pieces of sedge there, yeah, creating something to kind of anchor the bottom of the image. I'm underexposed according to the meter a little bit here because, well, we've got a really wide gamut of light here, haven't we? Absolutely almost white further out there and almost dark and black over on the wall. And I'm gassing way too much while I've got a camera getting wet. So I'm going to wipe this off a little bit and put it away, and hopefully you're going to look at the photograph and you're going to say, wow, isn't that lovely? And you're going to put a comment down below saying, wow, isn't that lovely? A bit of audience participation. You don't have to say, wow, that's lovely. You could say, that's awful. Let me know what you think of it. I think that's the important thing. As you can see, I've come round further following this this wall around the estate edge, and framed beautifully. Hey, fall over, why don't you? As I was saying before, you went drunk on me. Framed beautifully by a gap in the trees here is the boathouse across the water, and this might work. It might not, but I've never been into this bag with a camera so damned often, you know. How many videos do you see of me walking around with just the camera strung around my neck? Because I don't like keep going into the bag and getting it out. It's just a faff. Right, we have, would you believe it, a damp lens. Don't know how that happened. Stay upright, will you? Oh, what's wrong with you? If you want all your legs to be roughly the same length, put your legs all together and extend that way, and then splay them. Put the ratchet stop in there. There we go. Clampy. Right. Where is it? Let's point it in the right direction at least, eh? Okay. I actually do quite like this shot. This is roughly the view of the final shot. We have the wall obviously in the foreground. I don't need to point to it. You can see it. We have the gap in the trees, which could have almost been put there by Capability Brown or someone designing open spaces so you get views of things. I mean, it's just perfect. We're right in line and we're virtually square onto it. I'm keeping this, where is it, up there. I'm keeping that area in, I think, or somewhere around that, just for a little bit of context and kind of where we are, because there's a touch of definition there. The one thing that annoys me about it, and it's very difficult to avoid it, is I've got a fence post kind of sticking up. I might be creative in Photoshop and take that post out, I'm not sure. It actually strikes me that there's quite a lot of colour in this as well, yeah, even though it's dull colour. I really like the shot. It's quite an autumnal scene. Yeah, I hope you like it, and do let me know in the comments down below. I shot a number of compositions here, but when I got back onto a big screen I wasn't really happy with any of them. I did have some that had the wall in, they just didn't work. The wire fencing and the fence posts kind of got in the way. Then there was this one where there's just the kind of hint of the fence post, which is really, really jarring on the eye, along with the very soft focus tree branch in front of it. So I decided on a crop in the end. It's a very tight crop, but it's a much better image afterwards. I'm hoping I've got a couple of good shots. Can never be sure, can you? Because what looks good in the viewfinder, looks good on the back of the camera on that tiny screen, could look pretty blooming awful when you get it onto a bigger screen and you see all of the imperfections that exist in the shot. And there's probably a good few in these because I've kept my glasses off, which is a blessing and a curse. It means that I can't see too far, but it does mean that I can see the camera. It also means I don't have to keep wiping them. Well, I know I'm just moaning, aren't I? I'm just moaning. Let's hope that the photos make the trip worthwhile. And when I say trip, yeah, Harvey the motorhome is, well, probably 300 yards away. So I haven't come far, apart from the fact that I'm about 220 miles from home. Home's overrated. I wonder if she's put the kettle on. Bet she hasn't. Door's open. See, I haven't got my glasses on, so I don't even know whether she's there. I can see something that's teal, so she's videoing me coming back. Can't hear you.
Recording, I don't think. You press the button and it's...
Oh, it's in camera mode.
Oh, okay.
Another case for RTFM. If you don't know what I'm talking about, have a look at this video. I should thank Nikki for making the effort to try and record me. I can't blame her for not knowing all the buttons. Take care, we'll see you next week.